Hi, this is my gender studies self-assessment assignment, and the first topic that I'm going to discuss is intersectionality. An example of intersectionality in my personal life is that I am white, cisgender, and a straight woman. I would say that because of my intersecting identities, I've had a pretty easy and basic life in terms of discrimination against my identities. The most impactful of my identities would be that I am a woman, because gender equality is still being fought for, and I have reasons to be afraid to walk alone at night that some males do not ever experience. Though I do clearly recognize that if one of my identities, such as race or sexuality, would to not be white and straight, I would experience a ton of more hardships. This is because of all the hate towards people of color and people who are anything but straight, for example. This can go further than just what I mentioned, but this is just for an example. The next thing that I'm going to discuss was the chosen topic. This is any topic from class that has connected with you. So the topic that I chose as the one that stood out the most and connected with me was privilege and all the different ways that one can have privilege. I think this topic was insightful to me because even though I totally understand the concept of privilege, there is always new terms to learn and new ways to educate yourself. A lot of people like to turn a blind eye when talking about privilege because they feel offended when you call them out. A way that this topic is complicated is that people have the misconception that if you have privilege, it means your life hasn't been hard. This is, of course, not true. I think the best way to educate myself on this topic is just to be open to constructive criticism and listen to what others have to say. That's just how I feel personally. I will learn best by hearing from other people who strongly believe and understand the concept of privilege. Also, it will be relevant for me in other classes, especially next semester, because I'm going to be taking an African American Studies course and a history class on African American women. So I can recognize privilege throughout history. The next thing that I'm going to discuss is the applied concept. This was the news article we had to find with a key term specifically that we learned in class. So the article that I found was from January of 2021 and was published by NBC News. The article is titled, "Trans Women Retain Athletic Edge After a Year of Hormone Therapy." The key term that I chose was cisgender. In this article, it talks about a new study suggesting that transgender women maintain an athletic advantage over their cisgender peers even after a year on hormone therapy. From what we learned in class, I can now confidently understand the article and what it means to be cisgender. If I hadn't learned this term, I would be reading through the article and would not know what cisgender meant, and it would ruin the whole interpretation of the sentence. So the last thing that I'm going to be discussing in this assignment is the plan for action. This is discussing a problem or an injustice, and this one meant a lot to me. The biggest world injustice currently that I feel the strongest about is racial inequality and police brutality. This all ties into the Black Lives Matter movement. I think the biggest way to improve this situation is to decriminalize people of color completely and hold the racist justice system accountable for their actions. All police should go to prison for murder without a reasonable cause. Specifically, the violence against Black individuals, it has been way out of hand. The only way that I can do my part and make a difference is to stand up and use my voice in times of inequality. Another way is to share posts and articles to spread the word to others, sign petitions, and being confident in my beliefs. And that concludes my self-assessment in Gender 200.